If you need to use Marketing Cloud with multiple Salesforce orgs, my other videos in this series covered using the Marketing Cloud multi-org connector, the single org connector with a central org, and building a custom solution using a middleware tool. So make sure to check out those videos if you haven't seen them already. And in this video, I'm going to cover the pros and cons of one last solution, which is to just stand up multiple Marketing Cloud instances and connect each one to a Salesforce org using the single org connector. Now, I know that sounds a little bit crazy and a little bit counterintuitive as to why you might want to do it. And if you're thinking that, I agree with you 100% because I used to think so myself until I worked with an organization that actually had a valid use case for needing to do it. So let's go ahead and talk about that. And this approach looks pretty much exactly the way it sounds. You have multiple Salesforce orgs throughout your landscape. And anytime you want to integrate with an instance of Marketing Cloud, you would stand up a unique instance and use the single org connector to connect the two of them together. Now, there are a few benefits of this approach. One of them is that each pair of systems, so Salesforce and Marketing Cloud, has its own isolated set of subscribers and configurations, templates, journeys. Everything gets managed in one place in isolation. You don't have to worry about stepping on the work that another team is doing. Also, because we're using the single org connector, we get to take advantage of all of the full functionality that is offered by the connector without having to build anything custom. But the other thing that this approach does is, if you do happen to have a non-Salesforce system in your landscape that you want to connect to another instance of Marketing Cloud, you can do that too. There's nothing stopping you. You probably would need a middleware tool for that, but there's nothing stopping you from building a connection and having yet another Marketing Cloud instance in your landscape. But as far as trade-offs go, you can already see how complex this diagram looks. And if you think about your long-term maintenance strategy, over time, somebody is going to need to maintain all of these Marketing Cloud instances. Somebody's going to need to maintain all of the connectors. And that is going to increase your total cost of ownership across your organization. The other drawback to this approach is that it is very difficult to share data between Marketing Cloud instances. So if you want to do something like tracking unsubscribes from any one Marketing Cloud instance across your entire organization, the only way you're going to be able to do that is by using a middleware tool to send all of your unsubscribed data to a central database and tracking it all there. And it's also difficult to track things or to share things like journeys or templates or anything else that you might want to reuse. So who would even use an approach like this? Well, the most common place where you're going to see it is at a very large organization that is made up of several different divisions that all offer their own separate products and services that don't overlap with each other, and they also have their own sets of customers that probably aren't going to overlap with each other very much either. So the example where I saw it was at a large university, and this university was made up of multiple schools. So there was an engineering school, there was a business school, there was an art school, several others. They all had their own sets of students, they all had their own sets of course offerings, faculty members. Nothing really overlapped between them, and most of these schools also had their own IT departments that could maintain their own Marketing Cloud instances. So that total cost of ownership wasn't really an issue for them because they were already maintaining a bunch of other systems separately anyway. And they also didn't really care about sharing journeys and templates or keeping track of global unsubscribes because each school was considered its own individual unit, so it wasn't out of compliance to have people that would try to unsubscribe from all if they were only unsubscribing from communications coming from that school as opposed to the university as a whole. So that's one place where you'll see it, but there are also a lot of large conglomerate corporations that are made up of several smaller corporations. So you might see it there. You might see it at a larger consumer goods company that is responsible for maintaining separate brands that all have their own customers. It's places like that where you'll see it. Usually smaller mid-market organizations, this approach isn't as common, and you would use one of the other approaches I described in one of my other videos. So make sure that you have checked all of those out if you haven't already, and make sure to like and subscribe if you found this content to be helpful. Looking forward to creating more content like this and seeing you again soon.